Hey, Chelsea, welcome to Amp It Up.
I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh, I know we were talking before the show and you said the last time we connected was over a year ago and I couldn't believe it.
No, I know it's insane. And does it freak you out because it feels like yesterday, or does it feel like 17 years ago?
I feel like it freaks me out because the answer is both.
I honestly feel
Depends on the day.
Right. I feel like we were talking about, okay, so for those of you guys that are just tuning in, and I kind of introduced Chelsea, but I was on Chelsea's podcast almost a year ago talking about Clubhouse and my journey on Clubhouse. And those of my listeners, they know, because a lot of them know my journey through it and how Clubhouse really helped me, in social audio really was like an incredible thing. And I'm still using social audio. And you just said that you haven't been on Clubhouse in a long time, but you're going back on soon.
I have not been on Clubhouse in a long time as somebody who is active in a room. I do like to consume. And it's not that I don't love Clubhouse, because I've always enjoyed it, or any kind of social audio. It's that I have been laser focused on productivity and my main goals per quarter. And so that means that I have to take out some of the extracurriculars that I was doing. But yes, I am going back. It's been a really quick minute since I've been on there. I was just joking with you. I hope I remember the buttons and what I have.
It's all different.
What I do. Oh, great. Good to know. Good to know.
All you have to know is there's a mute and an unmute. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what you just said is something super interesting. And I introduced you before the episode, but essentially what you do is you help real estate professionals or people kind of in that industry with their social media and content creation, correct?
I do. I basically help them get unstuck from social media overwhelm, because it's really overwhelming. There's a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of platforms within platforms. There's different types of formats, and just figuring out how to start, what's an easy way to reduce content stress, creating habits. And then once you've got the habit, what the heck to post that actually is going to get results.
Oh my gosh, it's so important. And it feels like we're spending, and this is something that I'm kind of obsessed with talking lately, is the idea of busy work. I feel like we spend a lot of our time, and the fact that you mentioned the word productivity, I'm so excited to get into this because I need help with it too. But the point is, we spend so much time. A lot of my clients, they feel this way. I'm working all the time. I'm constantly doing something and I'm not seeing like results from it. Well, if you audit what you're doing, you're spending a lot of time maybe listening to podcasts or on Clubhouse or scrolling social media or reading a book. And look, I am part of all of that. And I want you to listen to this podcast. I want you to, scroll my social media. But at the end of the day, those are just time fillers. What do you suggest is like super needle moving behavior for anyone in that world, for, if they have some extra time in a day, what should they be doing?
Oh my gosh. You really spoke exactly to where I'm at in my life right now, because I felt very chaotic. My calendar was completely out of control. I stopped doing a lot of the things that have to do with self-care, with my morning meditations and my reading and my quiet time and my workouts and my movement. So I bought the book called it's Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt. Free to Focus.
Oh, yes. I have his planner.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm not using it very well. Are you using it really well?
I use it every single day, and I'm learning.
Can you please teach me?
Yes, I'm learning how to do better with it, because what was happening is I was using it as a to-do list, which is the busy work. And it's really about focusing on, does this get me closer to the goal that I set for this quarter? If it doesn't, even if I want to do it, or I feel this anxiety that I have got to get this done, I have to go back to that. So I still fall into those behaviors where I start writing a to-do list. It happened to me today. I had been doing really, 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 really well. And when you put it on there and you put it in your time block and you put it in your calendar, you have to stick to it.
Okay. So can you give me an example? Give us an example of what's the difference between a to-do list item versus a goal setting item.
Yes. So it's a lot of time prior to setting up your planner and your goals. I'm in the middle of reading a book called Traction right now. You've probably heard of it,
Yeah.
Traction, Rocket Fuel. And man, I can't get past chapter number 1 because I'm doing so much homework on it, which I know I've got to lay the foundation. I have to really clearly identify who I'm speaking to, what I'm offering, be able to identify it in one sentence, know clearly what my 10-year goals are. I can't just whip that out.
Mm-mm.
So I'm really stuck on this chapter because I'm doing it and I'm not making it perfect, but I'm doing it. So a lot of these things to help you get yourself in order take time to do. As we were talking about beforehand, I'd love to send out a lead magnet. Oh gosh, well, I guess I have to get an email service provider. I have to get a
Yeah,
landing
it's
page and
very
all the
easy to
things.
be like, oh, I want to create an email list. Then you realize, oh,
Right.
there's 47 steps.
Right. So, what I did was I had to get really clear about only 3 to 5 goals for the quarter. And I thought, oh, that'll be easy. And then I realized that my goals had a lot of pieces and processes and steps to it. And so now I've learned that a more achievable goal is better for me because once I put it down, I'm going to do it. And so then I realized I really had some very large goals. So what I do is, according to the book and the planner, I pick 3 things that I'm going to focus on for the week. 3 things to focus on for the week. And then in the planner, it has 3 things each day that you will do to accomplish your 3 big goals for the week. And so I would start to write down, call this person back, call that person back, make my travel plans, things that were my to-dos.
Pay the
And
bills. Yeah.
right. And you've got to have a section of your day in the morning and the afternoon that maybe you're devoting 30 minutes to that. Maybe it's reading your emails, cleaning out your inbox and all of that, which I do, but I was starting to get away from it. And then I was kind of getting all over the place, and my brain only works with one type of thing. So if I'm creative, I can't go to billing after that. If I'm in my creative mode, I can't do calls. Like, it's just not going to work for me. So I find myself very jumbled and frustrated and a lot of anxiety when I start to do that. What would be a goal would be, for example, setting up my very first email campaign that has a sequence. And maybe Monday is like, okay, make the copy for those 3 emails. Okay. Maybe day number 2, you're going to do all the editing, put all the graphics and links and whatever it may be. And then maybe day 3 is when you're actually going to be pushing the button. You could do all of that in one day, but just breaking it out. So that's how you have more of a larger goal that is going to support your quarterly goals. Like, my quarterly goal is I want to be automated. Okay, well, if I'm going to be automated, I've got to have some kind of email system in place. If I have to have an email system in place, I've got to have some email copy. So it's breaking it down into these smaller goals that help me stay focused. And I said to myself, are all these to-do lists keeping me at my goals? No, none of them are helping me make 25% more income a month. None of them are helping me automate whatever. You've got to get those things done. But my morning time, my daytime where I'm able to get things done and focus better, I've got to commit to that. And also I do theme days. So I do one day that's content, one day that's maybe admin, stuff like that.
You kind of bucket it up. I think that's such a good idea. Tuesdays are actually my content days. And once in a while, I will have a call with a client like that I can't change or something, something comes up personal or whatever. But for the most part, every single Tuesday right now, and we're going to talk about this in terms of content creation because this is so big right now. I have it planned out. I record a YouTube video every Tuesday. I make sure that my podcast is like fully ready because I release both YouTube and podcasts on Wednesday. I create as many possible that I can, and I don't put a number on it, TikToks or Reels. I try to write my weekly email that goes out on Thursdays. Like, Tuesdays are the days where I'm just like in content mode. They're my favorite days. I love creating content. Love, 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 love. What about you?
Yes, I also have those days and I need them. I never had those days before and it was sporadic and, but that was how my inspiration was. I would just become inspired by whatever it might have been. But now that I'm doing it, I do really enjoy it. What I have found is that the process that I'm using, where if I am going to do a podcast or a video tutorial, I do actually write it out like I'm talking. I don't script it, I don't memorize, but I just like to get the thoughts out. And I really thought that was a waste of time beforehand. But what I've figured out for me and my brain is that it actually helps me get really focused on what I'm going to present in the actual video, what I'm not necessarily reading off of it.
Yeah.
So that takes time. I've also discovered that it takes a whole heck of a lot of time to do that. Like I might think, oh, it's going to take me 10 minutes to make an email. Well, maybe it's taking me an hour.
So wait, let me ask you a question. When you're scripting it out, not word for word, but you said you're writing it down like you're talking. So you're typing it out essentially.
Mhm,
Have
mhm.
you ever considered a transcribing service like Otter?
Yes, I have thought about that. That is definitely something that I want to try, and I haven't tried it. I know Google Docs has, the ability to talk it out as well. So that's likely where I will go. I'm just, I guess, used to the way that I'm writing and then
Yeah.
looking at something and then like adjusting it, but I do want to try that just to save some time. I also, my online systems business manager, Sheena Gilreath from the Leverage Co., which I'm going to connect you to because she is a full focus planner expert. Like literally, she's certified.
Ooh.
And she was turning me on to, well, just change its name. It's called Jarvis.ai.
Yes.
And then I
Yes.
just changed to Jasper.
I saw that.
So yeah. So anyway, I've been playing with that, and that's been, helpful for some of my copy and such. So I'm
Wait, so
trying.
just to let the audience know, a system like Jarvis or slash Jasper, whatever it's called. Okay, well, let's go back. Otter, for those of you guys that don't know what that is, it's OTTER. You can do it for free and then you can upgrade to a paid service. But essentially what it is speak like a talk to text transcription. So you can play it a podcast episode. For example, I can play this episode and it can transcribe it and then I can turn it into a blog or something if I wanted to. It could also be really great, which I don't do, by the way. I don't do any of this. I'm just saying this is something to do. Another really great thing is if you're someone that really is like you can speak really well, but struggle when you sit down and then you get writer's block. A lot of really cool things you can do is when you're on a walk, you can just talk as if you're talking to a friend. It transcribes it all, and then you can edit the text from there. A lot of times I'll use it for ideas. So like instead of taking my notes app and just jotting down an idea when it comes to me, like if I'm listening to an episode of something and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, or I'm on my Peloton, I have to put it in my notes app. If I don't, it's gone, it's bye. So you can use Otter for those kinds of examples. If you're driving, for example, it's like using voice transcribe or a voice memo.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it today because I do have to write a script for a tutorial video that I'm going to be doing.
Okay.
So I'm going to try it. I'm going to try that
When you
today.
say tutorial video, you mean like a reel?
No, like an actual video that would be several minutes long of, an in-depth tutorial on, say, for example, an aspect of using Instagram. So
Okay,
maybe,
so for a course or something along those
right. Yeah.
lines.
So I'm going to try that because I do like to write like I talk when
Yeah.
I am scripting that. And that is really challenging for me. It's really hard for me to write like I talk.
No, it's very hard. I think our brains
Yeah.
are just functioning differently. And I
Mhm.
notice a lot of times, and this is something that's interesting talking about writing copy. And this, I love this conversation because it's just two business owners that are going through the motions, right? We don't all have it figured out. We're still figuring it out all the time. Writing a lot of times I like the idea of delegating that out to like a Jarvis. Okay, so we didn't explain Jarvis or Jasper. It's essentially like an AI tool, just like Otter, that helps you what is it? It takes copy that you already have and kind of like changes it
Yeah,
around.
from what I'm understanding, because I watched some of the videos, it basically reads the internet and it goes through, I don't even know how many millions of blog posts and websites to learn how to improve content based on everything that it's been reading online. But also, from what I understand, it ensures that, you're not copying anyone's work, which is great too. And, you have to teach it because it does learn.
Yeah.
And so once in a while, I'm new to it. It gives me kind of something that, no, that's not exactly what I wanted, but it's been really interesting and helpful to, especially for say like a sales page or a landing page or any ad copy, a YouTube title or maybe an email subject line title. It's really, really helpful.
Okay, so that is a great use of it because I don't like using it for captions. So for example, like I know there's a couple people that I know use it for their captions and I'm like, you literally sound like a robot. You're not yourself. I love that creative control to be able to write as I speak. But YouTube titles, email subject lines, um, podcast titles, and also
I
there was
would
something
say
else.
course descriptions too. If there's anyone listening who's, has a course or launching a course, that language around sales copy is very specific. I mean, people are trained in that and
I
they have,
cannot write a sales page.
well,
I
then I'm
hate
telling you,
that.
they have it.
I'm
It's
looking it up right
two
now.
different formats. I think it's the AIDA format, and then they have one that's PAS, like problem, agitate, solution. And I've really enjoyed
What
using
language
those.
are you speaking?
It's marketing advertising language, like, traditional advertising. They have like a method. I don't remember who came up with it many decades ago, but the model is AIDA, and now I can't even remember what the letters stand for, but it's a way that, like, if you were, at a big ad agency and you
Oh,
were
yes, 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 yes.
person,
It's psychology essentially
yeah, they're
around
figuring
ad.
out how do we, make this grab someone's attention and then kind of say, yes, oh my gosh, that's me. And then solve the problem with the service or the product. And it is a very specific style of writing. I'm sure they have entire classes on it in, universities and so forth. So that's a lot of work for people who are not copywriters.
Yes, and
So
here's
I love
another thing is yeah, I'm looking it up. So yes, it was formerly Jarvis. It's Jasper JASPER.ai.
that. Mhm.
Um what's cool about it is a lot of us feel and yes, you will have to pay for it if you use it probably after a
Yeah.
certain point.
Mhm.
But here's the thing, a lot of us feel that we're stunted in our growth in our businesses because we don't have the finances to hire a big team. And Chelsea, you and I, it looks like we have a pretty much same size team. I have an online business manager, you have one as well, it sounds like. I have a VA, so do you. And then I have random contractors for like random things,
Yeah.
if I need branding type
Graphic
stuff.
design or something. Yeah.
Exactly. But for the most part, those are my two. Those are my constants, my two. Neither of them write for me, right? So if I wanted to create a new course or a new program and I need a sales page, that would mean I'd have to go and hire a copywriter. I can do that now, but when I was just starting, that was a no, like that was not a possibility. And
Mhm.
so a situation like this, I think what we don't realize is how much there is, and then I want to get this into the real estate world and social media because how much there is out there, right? Like if for whatever I want to do, just say I want to learn how to make the perfect cup of coffee. I can now find not only a million free pieces of content, but if I wanted to invest in someone, I can probably find 200 people off the top of my Google list that can help me with it. But why you? Why that person? How do we get to that person? And a lot of it comes with that copy. A lot of it comes with those words that we don't realize that triggers something in those people's brains. But let's go back into that idea of how do you stand out online because you help real estate agents. I love to talk about kind of finding your star factor. I love working with real estate agents. What is like the biggest struggle, would you say, in 2022 of social media and real estate agents?
Yes, I will say the top two biggest struggles, most asked questions are either along the lines of what do I post or how do I take what I'm posting that may be good and actually make it great that's going to attract ready to work with me leads and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm not going to feel like it's a horrible job and I have to make a post today and nothing happens and like one person that I work with likes it and then nothing else transpires. So content always. And then the next thing is overcoming all of our hangups about being on video,
Mm.
or posting that content. I just made a reel today about, hey, if you've got stuff sitting in your drafts, me, because I've been like, oh, this isn't very good. I'm not going to post that. And so it's the human vulnerability of putting yourself on these public platforms, which is a challenge for most people, I would say.
Yeah.
And so those are the two big things: is how do you get better on video, and how do you make better content?
Okay. Well, this is like so up my alley. I basically do the same thing, but I don't specifically work with real estate agents. But we talk about when it comes to branding and how to, because I don't do visual branding, right? Like I'm not the person you should go to if you want your logo. That's someone else. But I help with branding strategy and how to position yourself so that you're different than the others. And a lot of that is about showing up with video and creating content. So I have a question. Is there a way in 2022 for you to get ahead online without utilizing video?
I'm sure that there's always a way to do.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, everything is that, what is it? I think Marie Forleo wrote the book, or so.
Everything is figure outable.
Yes, everything is figure outable. I was like, I hope I'm saying the right author. I have not read it yet, but I've downloaded it on my Audible. So
I have it on my Audible. I've gotten through 2 chapters, I think.
But I would say that I think, in my personal opinion, that it will take longer to grow your brand. I think that showing your face, I know that showing your face scientifically has been proven to accelerate trust and to fire those neurons with facial recognition and all of that. And, I think that the expectation has changed for consumers. We expect things on our terms, what's convenient for us. And if I can find this out about someone else by going to Instagram, why can't I see you there? So there's a lot of things about psychology and product design that are happening that are impacting this need, desire, want to consume video and consume people. The other piece of this is what I would say is that literally nothing, I shouldn't say literally nothing, but I would say if you're in an industry where you're going to make content around your industry, I would say it's probably already been done. There's really no original content except for your perspective, your experience, your stories, your behind the scenes, your face, your voice. So if you have industry content that literally everyone else in your industry has access to, I'm not talking about a proprietary, whatever it may be, but in the world that I work in, if you're in real estate and you're in the same zip code or city, you all have the same houses, the same data points, all of it. So how do you expect to get unique engagement without putting yourself in it? Because sometimes that's the only thing that is going to make it unique content, is you actually being on video, maybe talking about those market updates, talking about your properties and what your opinion is about the market. Where do you think it's going to go? How would you advise your clients? That's 100% original, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're literally reading someone's word for word, that is going to be the only original content out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's 100% true with any industry. Real estate is one because there's so much competition in your same neighborhood, right? But anyone, makeup artists, hairstylists, health coaches, mindset coaches, authors, personal branding coaches, speakers, podcasters, whatever it is, or product-based businesses, right? Like if I'm selling a specific kind of journal, right? You talked about a journal. How many people have freaking journals out there? So how do you get ahead? I always think about this idea on TikTok. I don't know. Chelsea, are you on TikTok?
I'm getting back onto TikTok. Yes.
Okay.
That is one of my goals that I'm doing for this year. I'm coming back to TikTok.
Come on back, girl. It's waiting for you. And I need help. No, I'm just joking, because I'm trying to still crack the TikTok code. But I am on TikTok. And what I notice is in the For You page, when I scroll, I'll randomly get videos, and I like to look into the psychology of why this video took off, right? Because sometimes they're obvious, they're really funny. Sometimes they're obvious because they're really, really sad, or like, the soldier coming home and seeing the kid in the classroom type of stuff. And sometimes they're so random. But one time, every few days I'll get a video and it's a product-based business. And the reason why this one shows up in my For You page, and the reason why this specific video has 1.5 million views, whereas all the other videos that they have 600 views, is because it's always a story based on the story behind the business, essentially. So for example, I'll give you an example. There was a story about, there was a TikTok about an eczema based company. I don't know if you're familiar with eczema. My son struggled a lot when he was younger, and it was a really frustrating thing as a parent. One of those things, you try all the things, you spend all the money, you spend all you buy Aquaphor, nothing works, right? You start to change their diet, nothing. So this company is an eczema brand, a small business, but it's family owned. And this specific TikTok was a story essentially with good music, like emotional driven music, about why they created the company. The mom and dad created it for their son. And
yeah, I'm ready to buy it already. I'm
right?
like, I'm
in.
Yes, I'm in.
Not only was I ready to buy it, I follow the account now, because now I'm like, oh my gosh, out of the love for their kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, it's storytelling. It's the human connection. Obviously, that's the video that's on the For You page, not the video showing the product next to someone's bed, not the video showing me just rubbing it on. Even a before and after of an eczema on your elbow will not attract that same, because you can see before and afters anywhere you look, but it's the story. So everyone should feel comfortable and start showing up and doing that. And you focus mostly on Instagram when you teach your clients, or do you show up, or do you talk about all kinds of platforms?
I do talk about all kinds of platforms, but Instagram is my main focus, Instagram and just video in general. And I would say that storytelling, so content, overall arching content is another focus of mine. And what I have found is that as somebody who's teaching content and had templates and formulas, I realized what was missing, and which is what I'm really focusing on for this year going forward, is how do I help you remember, rediscover, or find your story, because we're in it every day and it's too close to us. And we start to think, oh, my life is boring. Nobody cares about that. Like, what on earth would I show? I have no idea. Or I don't know. I mean, I do real estate. So like, should I talk about X, Y, and Z? Or I'm an attorney. Like, what would I talk about? So we're so close.
Why does my childhood matter for my real estate company?
Right.
My real estate business. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's steps to figuring out, how little things around you all day long can become content. It's perspective shifting. It's that sort of thing. And it's hard because, that's why we, do those exercises, and you're like, gosh, how did I describe myself in 3 words? And you're like, honey, how would you describe me in 3 words? Like, you're asking other people. Yeah. Because you're like, I can't even think about myself because I'm in myself all day long.
It's so true. It's so true.
So it's hard because if you're an attorney, you're an expert. You take for granted that you know everything already, and that people who might be watching your TikTok, they don't know anything. And how are you going to communicate that in a way to someone? And I often think of my kids, like probably you do, where I'm like, if I had to explain this to my son, how would I explain this? Well, guess what? It's not with a bunch of legal terms that I don't have to Google each one of them. I don't know what that is. So explain it to me in everyday analogies.
So what I just heard this stat, that when you watch the news, which I don't,
me neither.
Thank God. But if you watch like CNN or Fox News or any headline news, I don't even know, they speak in 5th grade lingo, language for 5th graders, which is a 10-year-old. And so many times on Instagram and on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, you hear language that is way over your head. So simplify and talk to people in those the small things. Like, for example, this podcast, right? We talked about otter and Jarvis, like nothing, but there's a lot of people out there that have never heard those words before. They don't even know what it is. That's why I try to describe it. I want everyone to be able to understand. Another thing is like the email system. You said earlier that you got your whole funnels together and everything in your email. I know what you mean when someone says create a lead magnet. You're like, I'm sorry, what? What is
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
Huh?
You're like, wait a minute, what's that?
Yeah, like a what? You want me to create a magnet for my fridge? Huh?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so confusing. And I remember when I first started online business in 2017, my first purchase, I'm curious your first purchase, like your first investment into like education for your business.
Mhm, mhm.
Mine was Amy Porterfield's DCA.
Same. So I didn't do
Stop.
DCA because it's like it's, on the, she does it once a year, but I did sign up for systems that scale and
Yes.
loved it. Yes.
Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, that's so funny. I think she is nailed that market of
Yeah,
just like, I'm starting a business. Where do I start? People go to Amy
exactly.
Porterfield.
Yeah.
Um, so look, I created one digital course about reels right when reels came out, like within the first month. I still have it. I don't update it because it's not just a passion of mine, but it was great and it was interesting. The whole idea, I bet if I went back to DCA now, I could probably learn a whole lot more. The thing is, I
Mhm.
wasn't ready. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't ready with that knowledge. I didn't even understand. I remember her using the word Kajabi.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm sorry,
I don't
what
know what that is.
language?
You're like, well, it's an online learning, management system where you can put your courses. Yeah,
And so
exactly.
I was like, do I need it? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't even have an email address. Do I need Kajabi? Like, I
Yeah.
had no idea. So we have to start small. And I think so
Right.
many times in real estate, in any other industry, we feel like we need to be the smartest. We feel like we need to have the most high level. We feel like, why would anyone pay attention to us since you can figure this out anywhere? Well, because you're the one that's saying it. It's you.
Yeah, it's this idea where these two ideas live in a lot of our heads that, we can't be human and professional, or I can't describe it very simply and be an expert or the resource. So we kind of hold those two opposing thoughts often, or we think, well, I've got to be credible. I've got to be the authority. How do I establish authority? And it could be with using language, it could be with using stats. And those are important. We want to know that you have won awards and that you're credible and you have social proof. And there are ways to tell a story about if you are the number one, whatever it is, dentist, attorney, fill in the blank, that you probably have seen a lot of things and
Yeah.
learned a lot of things. And
Yeah.
so going through and discovering those stories about telling, what you've done, or that's, I think, where people can determine, oh, this person, I feel like they really know what they're doing. They're trying to figure out if you're competent, if you can, you don't have to be the best, but are you going to be able to do whatever it is that you do for me? And it's going to get done. And hopefully it's going to get done on time. And you're going to deliver what I expected. So I think it's
Yeah.
important to remember that.
Yeah. And it's a work in progress. I think so
Always.
many people feel frustration right off the bat. Look, you have a large account, Chelsea. I'm looking currently on Instagram. You have 40,000 followers. That's a huge amount of people. And I'm sure because of that, that just the way that the world works, your content gets a lot more views, right? Your reels,
Mhm.
etc. Um, that's not by accident. It doesn't mean that you don't have good content at all, but I think it can frustrate a lot of people
Yeah.
because they're creating reels. And a lot of my clients feel this way. They have maybe 1 to 5,000 followers and they're creating reels and they're getting 200 views and they're
Mhm.
frustrated or whatever. What would you say to someone that is like creating content and it's just not taking off or
Yeah.
it's not getting that traction?
Yeah. So first of all, I would say you can't, compare your beginning to someone else's middle because it's always going to be different. And I would also say that for everyone, well, not everyone, for me, I would think most people out there, we all started in that arena. We all started somewhere. I will tell you there is a beautiful benefit to having a manageable, smaller community. You
Mm,
can communicate and connect with them with so much more intention and unscalability on a very one-to-one personal level that I wish I still was able to do. So there are a lot of benefits of having that, intentionality in building your community and being thoughtful about who you want to have in it, and who you want to reach out to. And then sadly, there isn't a 1+1=2 formula for social media. If there was, I'd be selling it and we'd all be
I'd be
making a lot
buying it.
of money, right? Because my good friend was talking about this, Sarah, and she wrote a book about it. It's essentially, we're dealing with people. These aren't metrics. You can't measure
Who's your
emotion.
good friend that wrote a book about this?
I'm going to look at it. Oh, it's called Made to Market, Sarah Stahl. Made to
Oh,
Market, Sarah Stahl, Sarah with an H. And I loved, and I sent her a message when I was reading it. I'm like, I love that you said people are not metrics. But that's why you can't have this linear idea of, well, I did 3 reels a week for 3 months
Yeah.
and
Like
I
what's going
didn't
on?
get anyone to sign up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? There's some intrinsic value. So let's make over your metrics. All right, you made 3 reels a week. That's a huge metric. You stuck to a commitment. Did you get better at editing? Probably. That's something you can measure. Did you get more comfortable looking at yourself on camera? Great. That's something you can measure. Did you get anyone to watch it? You probably had a couple of views. So those people saw your billboard as they were driving down the highway. There is value in them looking at your postcard as I'm throwing it in the trash. You can't say that there isn't. It's a branding experience. So the metrics of likes, views, and followers are often what we equate with value. But what about the intrinsic value of you learning a new skill, making micro videos, or getting better at removing your filler words, or not using a filter every single time, or posting something and not rewatching it? There's all kinds of value in there, but it's not something that we are taught to measure.
No, we're taught to measure numbers as
Yeah,
people, and
yeah,
that equals success. But
right,
success can come in so many ways. So many people don't start because they're scared. And then all of a sudden they've done it for a year and they don't even realize the progress they've made. They're
right,
just paying attention to what they haven't yet seen.
right. Well, that's
And
our, our human nature. You
it
do
really
have to take
is. We're
time
always
to look at what you accomplished every single day and every single week.
Yeah. I mean, just yesterday, and look, I really think this is important. And I talk about this super vulnerably and openly with my audience that I still struggle daily, weekly about, what's my impact and can I do more? And I want to do more. Like I woke up this morning at 4:45 a.m., like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I was texting with a friend and he was like, what's going on? Why are you up so early? Because he's on the East Coast. And I said, my brain can't stop. I have so many dreams. I have so many things I want to accomplish. And like I can't do it all. I can't do it all
Mhm.
today. And I
It's
can't do it all.
frustrating. I know that where I'm like, wait, isn't this all supposed to be done like with a nice, neat bow in a week? And you're
Feels
like,
like it
no, it's
should
going to take a
be.
year.
I know, because we look around and we see these other people's
Yeah.
success stories and we're like, it seems so easy. Come on. And we have the want, we have the drive, we have the desire, we have the ambition, we have the motivation, we have all of that stuff. But it's also not realistic. We're
Yeah.
not Gary Vaynerchuk or Mel Robbins. We don't have teams of 46 people. We are just like, we're literally hand holding through the process. And I want to just be really clear. Yesterday, I was really struggling for an hour on something. I was like frustrated about something that didn't do well, or a call that I
Mhm.
can't remember what it was. And exactly in that moment, I went into my DMs, and I had a DM from someone that said, I am not your target audience. I work at a corporation. I just want to let you know that every single time you post something, it really inspires me. Keep going. I was like, did someone tell you to write that to me? Because that was exactly what I needed. We don't realize it's
Yes.
not about
Yes.
making an impact for thousands. It's about making an impact for 1, 10, 100.
Well,
That's
and
it.
I told you that I had been seeing you all the time, of course, in my reels. And I don't know what it was, but I just said, you know what? I need to get more, I need to make some reels. And so seeing your, like, whatever it was about seeing
Wow.
you, but seeing you more often, I was like, you know what? I need to let me make this a priority. So
I'm
you didn't
so
even, I didn't
glad.
even tell you that, but yes, like that's what I'm saying is like, you never know when or who your content is going to reach. And thank goodness you got that lovely DM, which was so fantastic. So if you haven't sent somebody a DM today, do it, because you never know how it could impact their outlook in their day. But all the people who saw that and didn't send you a DM and said, man, I feel really inspired and joyful every time I see Donna's content. Well,
Yeah.
they're not all telling you. You got to love the lurkers too. So that's why, the metrics can really get into your head. And I do the same thing where I'm like, oh no, that reel was terrible. It didn't get as many views. And I got to do a trending song next time. And I still do it.
Bullshit. And I will say, it's one of those things when it comes to, like, think about Yelp or whatever, if
Mhm.
people even use Yelp for a restaurant.
Yeah.
Most reviews are negative.
Mhm.
because the ones that had a good experience aren't going out of their way to review it unless they're in the food industry. They're just like, I had a great freaking time. But the
Yeah.
ones that are miserable love to be loud. So
Yes.
you'll see more of the negative. You'll see more. I don't get a lot of negative feedback, thank
I
God, but that's
know.
probably because I'm not that big yet. But I'm sure if I grew and my audience
Coming.
grew,
It's
well, and
coming.
that's the thing is like with success and with a lot of numbers, you're going to get more people that aren't maybe your target audience. And so the positive spin on anyone that hasn't really like gone viral or exploded is that you can not only connect one-on-one in the DMs to every single person that reaches out to you, you can engage with your audience, you can get to know your audience, but also you can really keep a loving, supportive circle around you, which is amazing when you're just starting. There's a lot of negative that comes with going viral. There's a lot of negative that comes with growth too. And not every reel, not every piece of content is supposed to make you a star. It's just not. It's
No,
just
and
supposed
that should not be the goal. I mean, if your
Oh,
goal is an entertainment, maybe that would be the goal for you, but the views don't equal value at the end of the day. Not every single video or piece of content needs to be business focused where it's just answering questions or teaching something for your target audience. You need to make content that brings you joy too. And so when I like, I'm sure you do the same thing. We're like, oh my gosh, this is such a funny reel or a funny TikTok. Maybe people don't think it's funny, but you enjoyed making it. And so that's got a lot of value because, I feel like posting is work sometimes. So
yeah.
you have to mix it up and you have to remember that at the end of the day, if someone, my target audience, came to my profile and consumed 1, 2, 3, 30 of my short videos, long videos, whatever, is it going to help them? Is it going to give them some resources? That's why it's like, I don't know who said this, but your content is not for you. It is for your clients. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you're like, oh, I just feel like look terrible today. Okay, but that video, if you make it and post it answering someone's question, is it going to help someone potentially? Yes, it is. Okay, well, then is it really about you? It's about the person you're trying to help. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't be in this business if it's all about, satisfying your inner like ego. It's
Yeah.
really about you
Or
have
being
to be.
safe because I mean, I'm very sensitive and I have hangups about posting on TikTok because what if somebody says something mean?
And they will.
Yeah,
I've already
they
gotten
will.
mean
They already
comments on
have.
TikTok.
They already have. That's why I haven't posted there in a very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I mean, again, it goes back to the humanity, the innate feeling of wanting to belong and be
Yeah.
liked
Yeah.
and worthiness and imposter syndrome and all the things that go along with being a human being. Now, I wish I could be one of those people that's like, I don't know those people, though they don't even have a profile picture. They don't know me. They're just randomly spewing mean things at people. But that's not me. And
Yeah.
so I'm forcing myself to learn that. And I need to learn that lesson. I really feel that I'm at a point in my life, maybe my career, that I'm welcoming that lesson to learn more about being strong and positive and kind of building, I hate to say a thick skin because it doesn't sound positive, but yeah, basically building a thicker skin so that
Just
I
building a
can
little bit more resilience, I would say.
yeah, thank you, resilience, because you know
Yeah.
what I'm going to need a lot of as an entrepreneur, resilience.
Yeah, because you constantly have to bounce back. You
Yes,
constantly
yes,
get the
yes.
negative and have to bounce back. And
That's right.
so you mentioned, and as we wrap up, I did want to ask you one question. You mentioned books, like you've been talking about books. Like I read this and then I read that, and then this book. You must be an avid reader.
Yes,
Okay,
I
so do you read hard copy books or are you Audible? Was your thing?
can't do Audible. I try Audible every once in a while if I'm, on a plane or in a car trip, but I really, really, really have to have it in because I highlight, I do notes, I have like a whole process with my books, and I read every morning. I will read at least one chapter of whatever book I'm looking over here at my, as my books are judging me because I have 7 books. That's my problem. I buy too many books at one time. And then I get so excited that I want to read them all. So it's
Yep.
very hard for me to stick to one, but I do read every single morning. I, take notes and journal, and I do the homework. If it is something that's a nonfiction book and it does have some sort of assignment, and often when I travel, I will do that on the plane. I actually kind of look forward to my plane time now so that I have no emails, no notifications. I can just really dive into that. but yes, my goal is to read several books a month.
Mhm.
And not only just to read them, but to implement it. So I will typically buy similarly topicked books. And honestly, it's not even really about the learning in the book. That's a byproduct. It's about forcing myself to do something that is making me have time alone, and that is self-care, that I enjoy doing, and that somehow inspires me to come up with ideas that may have
100%.
nothing to do with what I'm reading about. It's just this little unlock
Mhm.
that happens. And often that happens to me when I work out, and I just really am not a fan of working out. And that often happens to me. So I'm like, okay, but listen, if I go to the gym, I'm bound to get a great idea.
Every time. Every time I work out, I'm like running to my phone to put
Yeah.
in a note.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, hold on.
Something the trainer said, a song that comes on, like
Yes.
something
Yes.
that triggers something. And I agree
Totally.
about the reading. I started to implement more reading in my life since probably the last 6 months ago, because I became obsessed with podcasts or audio, social audio. And I still like Audible, but there is some magic in taking notes and highlighting and underlining and,
Mhm. Yeah.
folding over the page. So what's a favorite book of yours? Like name a couple
So what
right
I'm
now.
reading right now, I told you I read Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt. I am currently reading Traction, and Traction and Rocket Fuel go together, and that, I want to say the name right, I think it's Gino Wickman.
Yeah.
And let's see, what else am I reading? I'm reading Launch, and I apologize, I don't remember.
Jeff Walker.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you, because I feel
That's a
terrible when I
great book.
people's names. Yes. So that's what I'm reading right now. And Traction, like I said, that is an assignment one. So I
Yeah.
started that. I was doing that on my last plane that I was on. I'm going on a plane tomorrow, so I'm going to be finishing that up.
I'm gonna
But
get
yeah,
that because I haven't read it, but I've heard many things about it.
yeah, I
I'm
highly
reading The
recommend it.
Illusion of Money,
Oh, I
which
have
is
not
like a
read
big thing for me, money mindset.
that.
I have to
Mm-hmm.
like massively work on that. I would say that's one of my biggest like struggles in my life. It's kind of
Yeah.
comes and goes, but
Mm-hmm.
my friend Jen bought it for me, and this guy that wrote it is a former stand-up comedian. And
Oh,
so
fun.
it's really, really well like reviewed, and it's done very well. Like a lot of very kind of influential people like it, but it's written in a very enjoyable way. Like I laugh,
Oh,
which
I love
helps.
that.
You're
Yeah.
entertained by your books.
Yeah.
Chelsea, you're amazing. So,
Oh,
so
thank you.
fun.
You are.
So fun. And I love talking to you, and just like we should just get together every once in a while and chat about our content creation and stuff, because we're kind of going through the process together in different ways.
I feel like we're on the same track. Yes. So it's always
Yeah.
good to have friends, accountability partners, the check-ins. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important. You need that when you're in your own business. You need
Community. Oh
the
my
people
God.
to send you that text when you least expected it, or to say, hey, did you do this? You said you were going to, which my accountability partner right now has already sent me 2 text messages and said, I have not seen that you have completed the goal that you set for yourself. I'm like,
Isn't
I
that
know.
amazing? It's the best.
Yeah.
Chelsea, where can people find you?
They can find me on all the socials by my first and last name. The best place to connect with me, honestly, is Instagram, because I do spend a large amount of my time there, and I have a lot of downloads, guides. You can find it all there in my profile.
Lead magnets.
Lead magnets.
Chelsea, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.